Your Gmail account might be more vulnerable than you think, and what happened next will shock you. A massive security incident has rocked Google's ecosystem, leaving millions of Gmail users exposed to sophisticated phishing attacks that are so convincing, even tech-savvy individuals are falling for them. But here's where it gets controversial. This wasn't a traditional hack at all. Google recently alerted its Gmail community about a significant security breach that has cybersecurity experts questioning whether any system is truly safe. The incident, which has been detailed by privacy-focused email provider Proton, reveals how cybercriminals have gained access to sensitive user information through an unexpected backdoor. The plot twist nobody saw coming. Here's what makes this breach particularly unsettling. The notorious hacker collective known as Shiny Hunters didn't break down Google's digital doors through sophisticated coding or system vulnerabilities. Instead, they did something far more disturbing. They manipulated a human being. Through a technique called social engineering, these cybercriminals successfully convinced a Google employee to unknowingly download malicious software onto their work device. Think about that for a moment. One of the world's most security-conscious companies was compromised because someone trusted the wrong email or phone call. What this means for your personal data. The breach provided Shiny Hunters with unauthorized access to Google's Salesforce customer relationship management system. While your Gmail passwords remain secure, thankfully, the attackers walked away with something potentially more dangerous. A treasure trove of contact information, including business names, phone numbers, and email addresses. But here's where it gets controversial. Some cybersecurity experts argue that this type of data is actually more valuable to scammers than passwords, because it allows them to create highly personalized attacks that are incredibly difficult to detect. The sophisticated scam campaign that followed. What happened next demonstrates just how creative modern cybercriminals have become. Using the stolen contact information, the attackers launched an elaborate impersonation campaign that would make Hollywood jealous. These scammers are now making phone calls and sending emails while pretending to be Google support staff. And this is the part most people miss. They're even spoofing Google's official phone numbers, making their caller ID display legitimate Google contact information. Imagine receiving a call from what appears to be Google's official support line, with the caller knowing your email. Most people would naturally assume the call is legitimate, especially when the caller warns about suspicious activity on their account. Google's response, and what they're not telling you. Google has been quick to emphasize one crucial point. They will never, under any circumstances, make unsolicited phone calls to users about account security issues. But here's what's controversial about this response. If Google never calls users proactively, how are legitimate customers supposed to get help when they actually need it? This incident has sparked a broader conversation about whether tech giants are doing enough to protect their users from social engineering attacks. Some critics argue that companies like Google should invest more heavily in employee training to prevent these human-based vulnerabilities. The bigger picture, why this attack method is so dangerous. What makes this breach particularly alarming is that it highlights a fundamental shift in how cybercriminals operate. Rather than spending months trying to crack complex security systems, they're increasingly targeting the weakest link in any security chain, people. Social engineering attacks are becoming more sophisticated because they exploit basic human psychology rather than technical vulnerabilities. When someone receives a call from what appears to be a trusted source, especially during a moment of concern about their account security, their natural instinct is to cooperate. Protecting yourself in this new threat landscape, Google has recommended several defensive measures, but let's be honest, most people don't implement them properly. Here's what you actually need to do. Enable two-factor authentication immediately, not just for Gmail, but for all your important accounts. Even better, consider upgrading to passkeys, which are nearly impossible for scammers to bypass. Develop a healthy skepticism toward unexpected communications. If someone claiming to be from Google contacts you about account issues, hang up and contact Google directly through their official website or app. But here's the controversial part. Some security experts argue that these individual protective measures aren't enough, and that tech companies should be held legally responsible when their internal security failures put users at risk. The question nobody wants to ask. This incident raises an uncomfortable question. If a company as technologically advanced as Google can fall victim to social engineering, what does that say about the security of our digital lives? Some argue that we've become so focused on building impenetrable technical defenses that we've forgotten to address the human element. Others contend that this is simply the cost of living in a connected world, and that users need to take more personal responsibility for their digital security. What do you think? Should tech companies be doing more to protect their employees from social engineering, or is this an inevitable risk we all have to accept? And more importantly, have you ever received a suspicious call claiming to be from Google or another tech company? Share your experience in the comments below, because your story might help protect someone else from falling victim to these increasingly sophisticated scams.